Hey, what's up? Mark here from the Backpacking Gear Net. Today, I'm going to show you how to set up the REI one-person Flash Air trekking pole tent. The reason why I want to show you how to set up this trekking pole tent is because I think there's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by a trekking pole tent. And I think that a video like this would help you to know if this is really going to be the right tent for you. Now, the reason it's called a trekking pole tent is you use a trekking pole instead of tent poles. So you save weight because essentially you use something you're already carrying anyway instead of carrying tent poles with you. So that's how they can make these a lot lighter and still be durable. So your tent comes with essentially the tent body with the fly. It's all attached, it's all one piece. The trekking pole does not come with your tent, but if you don't have a trekking pole, they do provide essentially a tent pole that you can use instead of a trekking pole. Now, I carry trekking poles when I go out backpacking, so I'm going to use the trekking pole because it gives you the most versatility. Your tent also has essentially one piece. Everything's sewn together for your fly and your body. It's important to know that your fly is kind of this grayish bluish material, and the floor of your tent is this kind of golden color, this yellow golden color. Your tent comes with tent stakes, and they give you enough tent stakes that you can stake it out in case you were in really rough winds. But I've been in complete downpour, storming thunder, rain with lots of wind, and the most I had to do was 6 stakes. It comes with guy line. It comes with 4 of them in case you want to add additional guy lines to your tent so that you can keep it from blowing around in the wind. And then it comes with these 2 tent poles right here. Now, these tent poles are what makes this tent so nice, because since the tent is an A-frame, essentially in most A-frame tents, at the head and the foot of the tent, you usually don't have much space because of the angle of it. You'll still see people try to like pull out the ends in order to get a better angle of the tent so that they have a little more room for their head. But with this tent, these 2 little tent poles right here will actually make it so that at the head end and the foot end of the tent, you've got a lot more height so that you're not bumping the ceiling with your feet or with your head. The other thing that it comes with is this right here, and this is in case you are using a tent pole like this, and if you were to break it, it's called a tent pole splint, and you would put that over this, and essentially that'll make it so your pole is usable. And so that is all the items. Now I want to talk about this. Now the reason why I said it's important to know the bathtub floor from the rain fly is the very first thing you're going to do is stake out all 4 corners of your bathtub floor, not your tent fly. The tent fly has this guy line on it that is actually adjustable so that you can tighten down your fly and really make it take shape. But the tent floor does not have an adjustable guy line. You have to pull all 4 of those out nice and tight. And don't be surprised if the first few times you're putting this up, you end up having to go back and like adjust where your stakes are after you've put your tent up, because you really need to make sure that you line up all your seams with the guy line, and I'll show you what all that means. But why don't I take this over to where I'm going to set it up, and let's get started setting it up. All right, so I kind of already laid the tent out. You lay it out so that the bathtub floor has all of its corners out, and then I take all of the rest of the tent and I put it into the center like this. The reason why I do that is it's so much easier to see what the rectangle structure of the floor is. So once we do that, the next thing we need to do is we need to put in these support poles that go at each end. And you'll see that the pole itself is gold, and you'll see that the line at that end is a yellowish gold color. That makes it so that you know which corners it goes in. It's probably good for me to tell you that the back lines are kind of that yellow gold and the front ones are black. So it's color coded. The black ones go to the front of the tent. So that's important to know. So what we want to do is we want to take and we want to put this tent pole into the grommet. And then it's hard to get it in, but pull it until it goes into the metal grommet on the bottom. Then we want to do that to the other side. Once we have those in, it's time to stake out all four corners. Remember, don't stake out the rain fly, just the bathtub floor. So you'll need 4 stakes to do that. And when you stake it out, it'll be good for you to know that you should pull them out kind of almost like kind of going in an X. Put your stakes in. I use my foot to push them in. So when you do this, it's really important that you pull out every end nice and tight so that the floor is stretched. So what you can see is I have a line going like this, a line going like that, and one going out like that, and one going like this. All right, now that you have that done, it's time to put the trekking pole in. So I start out with the bottom one, and I'll pull that out usually until I get to right about like 125. This other part is what we're going to use to adjust it to make it nice and tight. Now, you put the handle of your pole right in the pocket of the TP part of your tent, and you'll see there's actually like a nice pocket right here that fits the handle perfectly like that. Then you just simply put it up. The directions will tell you to put it in the loop, but I find that the tent actually functions better if you put it in the grommet. Their pole that they provide for you would normally go in that grommet right there. So you just put it in there like that. You just extend it until the tent is nice and taut between the bottom of the tent and the TP until it's so tight it won't do anything. Just like that. From here, we can start staking out the rain fly and all the other stuff. So next, you're going to take this cord right here, and I like to do it about halfway. And the reason for that is this way I can adjust it between the back of the tent and the front of the tent to get the TP just how I like it. So you just take and you pull the vestibule pull out straight. That way you can adjust it between the front and the back. FYI, it normally takes me about 5 minutes to put this up, but because I'm trying to film it, it's taken me significantly longer. So I've got the front pulled out, so the TP's up. I've got the 4 sides staked out, and I have the 2 little mini tent poles in the ends. So now I like to personally do the back one next, because this is where all of the structure is really coming from. So I'll take and I'll pull the back out, and it needs to go straight with the seam. And I'll put the stake in. And I will definitely have to adjust this because this TP pole needs to lean back a little bit in order to really get the correct pitch on here. So now all I got to do is pull out the 4 ends of the fly and put them on the stakes that are already there. And this is where I realize, because we want to go at an angle that makes the material straight, that I need to adjust where my stake is a little bit. So I pull that out and I find the correct angle. And then I put that on there. I don't actually tighten it out at this point because I'm just simply trying to get all 4 on, and then I'll go around and adjust everything until the pitch is correct. So same thing with the back. So here's the seam. So we want that seam to be pulled back. And I got this stake in the correct spot, so yay me. And like I said, I don't pull it tight yet. So we'll do the other 4 corners. So I only just tightened that a little bit, just so it was a little bit snug, because what you can see is that the tent has to be adjusted back like that. And the way we do that is we loosen it there and we tighten it there. And then we can go around once we get the correct angle of the pole, and we can then tighten all 4 sides until it's all nice and snug. I need to zip the vestibule. So I just start going around to all 4 corners and I tighten them so that the tent can take shape. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for these seams to stand up and hold everything. Now, once I have everything staked out, what I'm looking for is the structure sound? Is there any sagging like right here? Because if you notice, if I adjust this pole, so by pulling that pole out, you'll see it's no longer sagging right there. And just go around every side and just look to see that everything's correct. This has a little bit of sloppiness right here. So I can fix that by getting this angle better. So I'll loosen this corner and I'll adjust where my stake is. And then now I can tighten this up. So I'm just trying to get it tight to where all the material looks correct. And everything on here looks nice with all the seams and everything. There's a ventilation up here on the top, and it's got this little pole with Velcro. So you just Velcro that in so that you can get some air. And there's another neat thing too, and that is, if you take the bottom corner of the tent, there's a little loop here. And if you look in here, at the highest point, there's a little toggle right there. If you put the toggle through that loop, so it sits on there, you can zip it down like this. And as you can see, you get more airflow this way, yet you're still protected from the rain, and you still have a space for all your gear in the vestibule out of the rain so it doesn't get wet. Right here is a video on the review of this tent where I tell you all about the tent. Down in the comments below, there's a link to my merchandise store so you can get yourself a t-shirt so I can keep making more videos like this. And other than that, I'll see you on the next one.